Hedge and welcome, Tube Dwellers. This is the Mad Bag Gamer with another production for you. Today I have a rather special video that's going to be showcasing some of my Archer, Dharma. So, before I get into any of my montaging, let me go over what this character is. As you can see right now, I'm level 36. I kind of chose a random time to do this this video. However, I've got a couple key things. So actually around 33, I focused on archery so much so to get it to 100 very first. It's the very first skill that I got there. And as of right now, I have absolutely every perk in the tree, including every level of every perk. But to just detail what I think about the tree, of course, your bow damage, overdraw, you want to get every chance you have. This is one of the perks that comes at different various levels that sometimes line up with other perks. So you want to pay attention to how close you are to the next required level of archery to get the next level of overdraw, and whether or not that's going to land at the same time as some other perk you want. And if so, you're going to want to skip putting a perk somewhere until you hit that level and then get, both of them at once. So this one, critical shot, and to some degree steady hand are all perks that you want to get them the first chance you can get the perk in them. The second you have your archery at whatever level they require, you want to get the next rank in those perks. And when it happens to fall on the same one as some of these other perks, you want to go ahead and get them both. Alright, now the only reason that I think this Hunter's Discipline perk is important is because of how important Ranger is. Really, the things that make the Archer class work are on top of just being able to get decent damage out of your bow through this tree and through the Alchemy tree. There is a slow time component that allows you to really sink shots in, that makes it much easier to be accurate with a bow than with, say, your average projectile spells. There's a power shot that gives you a 50% stagger, which is not quite as powerful as the impact from the destruction tree, but you get to where you're flinging arrows pretty dang quick, and you don't necessarily have to have the bow drawn all the way back to get that stagger, so that can really, really choke enemies up. And then Ranger coupled with Quick Shot, which are your movement speed when your bow is drawn. You'll notice in the game when you start with archery, if you have a bow out and you have an arrow knocked and drawn back, you move much slower, like almost at a walking speed. Once you get Ranger, you move at almost your regular speed. So I'll show you that here in just a second. And then Quick Shot allows you to draw your bow 30% faster. So this includes getting an arrow into the bow far enough for it to shoot, and how quick it takes you to get the bow drawn all the way back. By the time you add 30% to that whole chain of things, it really speeds up how quickly you can toss arrows, how quickly you can stagger opponents. Alright, and then the last tree, this one, at first when I saw this, I thought 15% chance is pretty small. That might end up being situational enough that it fails whenever you really need it. But it's a 10-second paralyze, and the 15% chance, once you get to where you're flinging arrows this quick, the 15% chance really just lights targets up. I mean, that paralyze is amazing. That is definitely worth sinking in. I got it the second I got to 100. I actually trained the very last level of 100 in the Thieves Guild. No, hold on. I did not train the very last level. I trained some in 90, I believe, because I remember he couldn't teach me to a certain level. Okay, so that's the archery tree. If you're building an archer, you want to go straight up this over any other perks in any other tree. You want to get the perks in this one. Probably the only exception to that is right as soon as you get the 30 for the first level of Eagle Eye, the zooming by itself, it takes a lot of stamina. It's not great. So you might want to wait until you're ready for the first rank of Steady Hand, and just have 2 perks ready for that, so you can get Eagle Eye and Steady Hand. Eagle Eye by itself isn't fantastic, and there might be another perk in another tree that you want to take that early on. Now, my light armor, I use light armor. You can see it's only at 51. I haven't gotten attacked a whole lot. I put a perk in this. I personally think that was a mistake, but only because of how good I am at dodging attacks. This might be a tree you want to think about going up. However, I will say that me being able to keep perks out of this tree allowed me to get a lot sicker damage faster in other perk trees. My second biggest focus tree is Sneak, and my Sneak's pretty high, but you can see that there's two key things I haven't gotten. A, I did not get the Assassin's Blade, and I'm not quite to Shadow Warrior yet. I likely will be picking that up the second I get to it, though. The reason I did not get Assassin's Blade is because pretty early on I completed a Daedric quest that gave me the Mace of Molag Bol, and it's better than like the Nightingale Blade, it's better than Mehrunes Razor, it's better than any other one-handeds I've found, and any other dagger class one-handed. And on top of that, I don't really use one-handed. It's a fallback weapon. I don't really care about the skill. I'm not putting perks in the tree. So having that 15 times one-hand wasn't huge. However, I'll show you what was huge. Was coming up the right side of this tree to get my Deadly Aim. Now, Deadly Aim specifically has synergy with a ranged Sneak class. This lets your bows do 3 times as much damage. This was literally my second priority, getting my Sneak to 40 and getting a perk in each of these to get up this right side of this tree. Right alongside pretty much everything in the Archery tree. I would prioritize this one perk in Sneak right up there with all the others. And then since I was kind of already deep in Sneak, I went ahead and said, well, you know, it'd be cool. I came up here and saw this perk, and I said, ultimately having the ability to lose targets, or have enemies lose target of you, and just you know, go right back to sneaking and getting shots off, is gonna probably be a critical way of playing an archer. And I've already seen, just in having some of these other perks up the tree and having a high enough skill, that in the middle of battle, once guys have been chest to chest with me attacking me, if I maneuver right, jump over stones, crouch where they can't see me, I can get right back into Sneak and get another sneak attack shot off on them. And I can abuse it even more if I think of that when I'm opening the battle. I can maybe get 2 and 3 different sneak attacks off on the same guy, just from not being where he looks by the time he comes looking for me. Alright, the only other tree I really have focus in is the Alchemy tree. Now, my skill's not incredibly high in Alchemy, and the focus in Alchemy has come after focus in the other 2 trees. I've only started to put perks here when I've had perks left over, you know, once I started getting to the 20s, really. But you can see I've got a little bit in Alchemist just to make everything I make a little bit stronger. And I'm not so sure going down the right side of this is worth it. The reason I did is to get Experimenter and make it a little easier to discover the effects of different alchemical regions. But overall, I don't really use a whole lot of the health potions I make. I mean, I use them, but like I don't need them to be stronger. The beneficial effects even. I use True Shot potions quite a bit, but I don't need the effects to be stronger really, because they're already pretty good. They already last like 60 seconds, or I can get health potions often enough and in high enough quantity that perk's kind of not needed. And Experimenter, if you happen to have the guide shows you all 4 effects of every ingredient, so you can actually combine ingredients that you don't know have a similar effect in the game, if you know outside of the game that they do, and when you combine them you reveal that they have that effect. So if you can do without this Experimenter perk, I would say forgo those 2 perks altogether. I will probably end up sinking into Experimenter just to make it really easy to get all the effects. Plus I'm going to do a video on ingredients at some point. But huge though, Poisoner and Concentrated Poison. Both of these are really powerful, and I'll tell you why. Especially coupled with this Alchemist. I will show you actually, and I might as well go show you now because I'm basically done detailing my skills. I've got some poisons of damage health up here. This one that I've got 14, 17 of, and 14 are poisons that I made myself. And this is a poison that does 38 damage, 36 damage, 25 damage, but you see how many of them I have, and that it's in the 30s. You know, it's in the mid 30s. When I apply this to my weapon, which I happen to be holding the Nightingale bow right now, it's setting at 83 plus what, like 38 is going to put me well over 100. And it's kind of a pain in the butt to put it on every other shot, or before you get this poison perk that doubles the last every shot. It's kind of a pain in the butt to do that, but when you're fighting a tough enemy, you can afford to go into that quick menu in between each shot and really take him down fast, and it makes a big difference. As far as the weapon goes, this Nightingale bow I completed through doing some of the Thieves Guild quest. It's got a nice enchantment on it that does both frost and shock damage, so there's not really anything that would be totally immune to the enchantment, and it's the equivalent of an ebony bow. Ebony bows are the greatest ones I've found so far at level 36. They're above glass, they're above dwarven, they're above elven. Have not seen a Daedric bow yet, or I don't know that there is, but there might be like a dragon bone bow or something crazy like that. I don't know necessarily that there is, but it would be better if there were. As far as apparel goes, the amulet is probably the most interchangeable piece of what I'm wearing right now. I happen to be using the amulet of Dibella for plus 15 to speechcraft, and there have been some situations where that plus 15 really made a difference. I've really gotten through, I don't remember exactly which quests, but there's been a couple that I was just like, whoa, my persuasions are actually working, you know. I actually used it a lot more because of that. I've got some elven boots with a generic enchantment on them, sneaking 30% better. It's a very strong enchantment. I don't know where I got these. I think it's random drop. I don't think the way that I got them could be duplicated, so that's something that you just kind of got to look for as you go. Gauntlets of the Old Gods. I got this for completing a quest here in Markarth that has to do with the mine. It has to do with some Forsworn and an attack that happens in the market, and you trace him to the Warrens, and then somebody jumps you. I won't give anything else away. It goes a lot deeper than that, but you get a whole Forsworn set of armor, and a lot of it is pretty good. However, I think it's got like some magic bonus in there somewhere, and some other stuff that I wasn't really interested in. But that 20% bow damage is pretty critical, given that I'm at like the 80 mark. What is that? Like what's 20% of 100 is 20, so it's 16ish. I don't know, 18ish. 18 extra damage. I've got the Croesus mask. This is a Dragon Priest mask, and let me see if I can recall where I got that mask from. Oh boy, this may be tough. I think that mask came from the Skyborn altar. I want to say it came from the Skyborn altar. I'm not totally certain about that. I know there is a dragon there, and there's a word wall there. I know there's a Dragon Priest outside somewhere, and that's where I got it from. And obviously the Dragon Priest I got it from was named Croesus, because all their masks are named after him. And it is right up my alley. Archery and Alchemy are 20% better. So that's, I mean, the Archery alone is what I was using on, I had an Elven helmet of Archery that did like 20% more damage on your bows. This just makes your Archery and your Alchemy 20% better, which is awesome. And then lockpicking. Sure, why not? I lockpick all the time. That's fantastic. I've got the Nightingale armor. Stamina increased by 40 points, increases frost resistance by 50%. Frost resistance is kind of just a nice bonus. I believe that this is the equivalent of Elven armor. I think Elven gilded armor is just ahead of it. And oddly enough, I think that weird-ass scaled horned armor is above it. That boggles my mind. Then I got a Ring of Sneaking. Again, that's something that you could probably change out. The amulet, I mean, do your health amulet or whatever kind of amulet you really feel like wearing. If you're having trouble with health, do that. I guess, I don't know. If I could find an amulet of bow damage, I would definitely recommend that. I don't know that you can put that on a necklace, though. I actually think you can't. Alright, so there's my gear. There's the way I play my character as far as skill setups go. I think I'm going to try to montage together a little archery madness. Alright. Alright, and I get a dragon immediately. Alright, I wanted to show one other thing before I actually got into combat. Just in case you're not one who watches my mage walkthrough. My difficulty's on Master. It always stays at Master. It was on Master before I got off the wagon the very first time I played it. I've never taken it down. I don't know what the game's like on any other difficulty, and I'm not sure I want to. And then I guess I could show, let's see, go back to settings. Display. All my distance fades and the options that you can't see here, which is all my actual graphics settings. You can see off that Skyrim menu that comes up in Windows before Skyrim actually launches. Everything's set to Ultra, so and I think I'm getting at least 30 frames per second recording consistently here, so all Ultra settings, including difficulty. And the dragon doesn't see me yet. I'm going to go ahead and get a poison going. Damage health. I think that's actually a weaker one. Those 14 are my big ones. It knows about my partner. I should have shown her off. So one shot, you can already see, got decent damage on him. I actually got some double dragon going here. I just now made sure that my whirlwind sprint was ready. I don't think that arrow hit. So 2, are there 3? I think I might have 3 dragons. That would be pretty cool. I would like that as a nice little bit to my montage. I'm not going to fire that because I'm not going to get it. If there are 3 dragons, I'm going to make sure before I go popping a bunch of potions. But if there are 3, I will likely pop a True Shot potion and maybe a couple other things. I don't know that I hit that dragon because I did not see his hit point bar change. What are they fighting over here? I'm using my compass a lot. Whenever I don't have them on screen, you can still see their red dot on your compass.